News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you till the top of the hour. And joining us, some very distinguished gentlemen. We have from Pitt and Frank Attorneys, we've got Kevin Dissler. You can reach Kevin and everyone over at Pitt and Frank at 895-9900. Also, Brad Lawler, who's owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They come in as a team, do a great job. And you can reach Brad at 844-411-TEAM. And I'm Bob Sokoler, the RE/MAX Properties East Sokoler team. And we are continually looking for homes to list. And also we have 10 buyer agents that you can help you find your home. You can reach me on my cell phone at 376-5483. I think my son Greg is already at work, so good for him. Guys, doing okay? All well on this Sunday morning? All right.
Doing great. Morning.
Everything's going great so far.
We have a ton of questions. So let me explain that we're still in our COVID. It looks like we're going to be in our COVID mode for months and months to come. That we do this on Zoom, and we upload it to YouTube. You can see it on YouTube, by the way, by going to LouisvilleAnswers.com for a replay. And though we take your questions instead of directly on the air like we did before COVID, you send us an email, bob@wesellouisville.com, and radio question in the subject line and the question itself in the body of the email, and we'll be more than happy to help you at any time with those questions, getting them on the air. By the way, hey, guys, I've tried something new. Tell me if you think this works. You know, we always give out our wesellouisville.com website. So I bought, thinking the other day, maybe this might be smart, my cell phone number, because I give my cell phone number. So now if you go to 376-5483.com, it'll take you directly to our webpage to sign up for help. Yes, no, I don't know.
You know, we've got some folks in town. That's how they market, through their phone number. So I think it's a good idea.
That might work.
Yeah. Well, it might work.
All right, let's move on. We've got questions here. We'll start. This is for you, Kevin. Jim, having problems with renters in his house. The renters are behind on rent, and because of COVID, he has not been able to evict them. So what's the latest on the regulations for evicting? Do you have any clue, and how can he put them out of the house legally because they're not paying?
Well, just recently, the Supreme Court of the United States actually kind of kiboshed the CDC eviction moratorium. So, and I do believe the state of Kentucky, they're going to start going back through the eviction process. But I would say I know quite a few landlords, and there's plenty of money available. If you can get your tenant to cooperate with you, a little bit of paperwork to do. But in most cases, the city of Louisville, Jefferson County, they do have funds to reimburse the landlord and to keep the tenants in. So I would strongly suggest you go onto the website, I think Louisville.gov. They have some great resources, but if you've got a tenant that cooperates with you, new one gentleman got 10 months rent. Check for that. It's just process is a little paperwork. Got to be patient.
And speaking of renters, 48% of renters are worrying that they won't ever be able to buy a home. That's according to a new survey. The concern among renters, Generation X, which I guess is 41 to 45 years of age, and millennials, 25 to 40 years of age, are concerned. And to that point, 55% of Gen Xers, renters, and 52% of millennial renters are worried about the prospects of home ownership. That's according to a new survey that was just recently published. So just note, for those of you who are thinking about getting out of the rental into home ownership, you know, this is going to pass this, because we're already seeing everything slow down in terms of the number of homes going under contract, the number of buyers out there have come down, because a lot of buyers are upset that they weren't able to find their dream home because other people were bidding over them. And then we're seeing more homes come on the market. So this is already starting to take place. So if I would tell you, if you are a buyer or you are a friend of a buyer or know somebody who's a buyer, let them know they need to re-engage with their real estate agents sooner than later, because this coming winter, fall and winter, this may be the perfect time to go out and find a home. And for those renters who are worried about finding a home. It will happen. On to more questions. This one's coming in from Freddie and Brad. It's for you. Freddie is planning on selling his Highlands home in the spring. He's already replaced the roof, but's wondering what other items inspectors will be looking at. He says he's lived in the home for more than 25 years. He's done very little else in the way of replacements or repairs. So over fall and winter, what should he consider working on?
So I think there's a couple things. One, the key word there is that he's been in the house for 25 years. So I'm going to say, one, he probably wants to go ahead and have the house tested for radon because the buyers will. So he needs to know whether or not that might be a concern. 25 years ago, we weren't testing radon levels in homes. So that would be one thing. Definitely the HVAC system needs to have a once over. I would suggest that he do that now before the winter anyway, but he'll probably want to have that checked out again in the springtime. Additionally, for that age of home and the part of the city where it is, he may want to, if he's had any issues with water in a basement or crawl space, he may want to have that foundation addressed right now. I'm guessing the house is probably of the age where he may have some cracks and other issues. And then certainly the electrical system. If he's got one of these homes with, 40-plus-year-old electrical system, he may want to have an electrician take a look at it and just make sure that he doesn't have any sort of oxidation or rusting or any corrosion in the panel. Better to address that now than when he's, forced to do it following an inspection.
So you mentioned off the top radon, which we've talked about on a regular basis, colorless, odorless gas. If you're not aware of it, folks, look up radon in a Google search. You'll get a whole bunch of information from the feds. The thing that I was wondering, and we've been tracking this, and I've talked about this once or twice over the past couple of years, is that over in Europe, the EPA action level, here in the United States, it's 4.0. So it's 4 or above. EPA says you need to mitigate. That's the suggestion. It's not required, but most buyers are not buying a home if it's 4.0 or above. But over in Europe, 2.8, 2.0, and we've heard bits and rumors. I don't know if you know about this, Kevin, that the EPA may consider moving the needle down to 2.8 or even lower. Any word from your people on your end?
No, I haven't heard anything else about that. As far as there were some new rules written in the state of Kentucky as far as who is going to be allowed to do the testing as well as mitigation. I don't think anything came of that in this last session, but as far as lowering from a 4.0 picocuries per liter down to a 2.8 or lower, the challenge there is homes that have been remediated in this area. I mean, the mitigation companies will tell you that they probably can't get below a 2.5 with the systems that they have in place right now. So I think there's even going to be a potential for having to have system upgrades if the EPA decides that's the standard. Radon exposure is the leading cause of lung cancer for non-smokers. So it's not something you want in your house, and it's you can have high levels of radon in your house. Your neighbor has normal levels. A lot of it has to do with where you are in the city, what type of rock is under you, as well as what the construction of your home is. Some of the older homes that, quote, breathe a little bit easier, the radon levels are lower than homes that are very tight. New windows, new doors tend to kind of tighten it up and doesn't allow the gas to escape as readily as they would with the older windows and doors that were probably in place.
Got it. Incidentally, if you'd like to see what sellers are saying about us, got a couple of options. Go to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com, and that'll give you some ideas, some videos. Also, read our reviews. Go to LouisvilleZillow.com, and you can always reach me and get more information of getting us out there to help you sell your home by going to 376-5483.com. That's that. I don't know. That's new. We just plug that in. And then also you go to WeSellLouisville.com or call me on my cell phone at 376-5483. All right, back to the phones. Well, the emails. This, Kevin, is for you. Now, this is long and involved. Mary wrote this in a couple of weeks ago, and I told her I'd get this on for her. Hopefully she's listening. She says, I own my mom's home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. The home, and by the way, I've changed Mary's first name to protect her, obviously. The home has not been maintained, needs a new roof, has a leak in the foyer, septic tank issues, and needs all new roofing, needs a total update, including electrical system, and may even need to be gutted. Mary goes on to write, I don't live in Tennessee. I don't have an interest in having it fixed up. What would you recommend I do step by step? Get an appraisal first, contact a buyer that buys old, ugly homes, sell as is. Do I need to disclose everything to an investor buyer? Please advise. Kev, let's start with you.
Well, first, I don't want to get in trouble with the Kentucky Bar Association. I'm not licensed in Tennessee, so let's just assume that it's here in Kentucky. Similar situation came up a couple of weeks ago. And in Kentucky, as you're aware, Bob, that there's a seller disclosure form that when you go to list a property, it has to be filled out. And the problem is when you sell a property as is, you can opt out of doing the seller disclosure, but then it sets up a red flag. In a situation which is identical to this that came up 2 or 3 weeks ago, in our industry, there are what's called wholesalers. And what they do, it's like if you have a car that your teenager drove through high school, you don't want to sell it on Craigslist or to a friend or family member. So the easiest thing to do is drop it off at the car lot. Wholesalers are kind of like that. They take it as is. You don't have to worry about the disclosures. It's usually cash. And they fix it up. They sell it. So then you have some immunity from potential claims for liability.
I happen to completely agree with that advice. Brad, anything you want to put in, add in on this?
No, I would just make sure that I would start with a good agent up front, helping guide them through the process.
You have a couple of real clear options. One is get an agent who will put it on the market as is, and then see what you can do. Also, at the same time, there's usually, if you do a list for people who buy homes in your part of Tennessee, there's probably a list that's going to come up and make some calls, and then maybe meet everybody down there one day and take care of it in one fell swoop. Look for the best deal that you're given in an as-is condition. Be aware, though, there are a lot of folks out there, not pointing fingers at any individual, but they will come in and let's just say the house is worth $200,000. They offer you $150,000 in as-is condition. You take that, but it's contingent on the inspection, which they're allowed to do it, even though it's an as-is home, and they're allowed to pull out if they see problems that are bigger than they want to tackle. And what's happened, and we see this happen time and time again around the country, they do the inspection and they come back to you and they'll say, listen, we're willing to go through with the sale. We know it's as is, but there's a lot more here than what we thought was going to be here. And we'll take the house off your hands for $100,000 or $125,000. So in other words, they got you hoping that you've got this thing sold and you're out from under it. And then they pull the rug out from under you by saying, okay, we'll do it, but you're going to have to give up X amount of dollars more. Just be aware of that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, some surprising places where mold hides in the home. Hopefully everybody's ready for this because it's an interesting tell that we all need to think about. With us, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They come in as a team. They do a great job. They're the #1 home team inspection service in the country now 6+ years in a row. And you can reach them, 844-411-TEAM. Also, Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys. They do a phenomenal job getting places, your homes closed, and they've got a variety of locations. You can reach Kevin at 895-9900. And me, Bob Sokoler, you can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 376-5483, constantly looking for homes to list because that's the bread and butter of our business, and we try to do a good job. You can check our Zillow reviews. Go to LouisvilleZillow.com. Back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, with you till the top of the hour. With us continuing, we've got Kevin Dissler with Pitt and Frank Attorneys at 895-9900. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They've got a great group over there at 844-411-TEAM. My son Greg's off this morning, and you can reach me anytime on my cell phone, day or night, to help us get your home listed and sold or to find a home to buy. 376-5483. And we thank Barbara Corcoran for her friendship and mentorship, and she's really been a great asset to us. Anyway, you see her on Shark Tank. If you haven't, tune in. So, 14 surprising places where mold hides. Kevin, I think you're going to have an eye-opener here. I know, Brad, you know about a lot of this. And why don't I bring up the location, and Brad, give us maybe a one sentence, your thoughts on that, okay?
All right.
Under the sink.
It's almost every house has it under there.
Really? Every house?
Yeah. It's under a lot of. You get those little pinhole leaks, the small leaks under your faucets, and pull things out from underneath your sink, and you might be surprised at the water damage and mold that's growing there.
Wow, that's an eye opener right there. Okay, inside the toothbrush holder.
That's just gross. Yeah, I don't know what else to say on that. Yeah, just pull the top off, take a look inside that one. It's that'll run through the dishwasher, will be okay.
This one surprised me. In your filing cabinets.
It's people who store a lot of paper in their damp basements in filing cabinets. It can grow on the paper. There's certain types of mold that love paper. And if the conditions are right, if there's enough humidity there, it can grow on those in your filing cabinets.
Any parent listening to us, this is something that you need to take heed on the toys that your kids are playing with. Is it from saliva buildup and food?
I don't know about the saliva, but anything you throw wet into a bag or a box or a plastic bin that kind of you leave a little bit of water in there and you seal it up tight, you can get mold on the toys.
Got it. How about on appliance seals and drip pans?
Also, it can be there underneath some of the older refrigerators that have the drip pans still underneath them. Slide those out, and you may have some water in there with nice pink, lovely mold.
Yeah, on the coils possibly.
Maybe.
Washing machines. If you have a front-loading washing machine, that's a real problem. We've got one, and their mold actually accumulates there on a regular basis.
Yeah, you have to keep that seal dry. So keep the door open after you do a load of laundry, and then take just a towel and wipe underneath that seal, and then leave the door open so that the mold can't grow there.
I would suggest use bleach to kill the mold, but then you got to worry about your clothes going in and out, right?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of bleach for mold on anything, but there's a lot of other products that are a lot better than bleach. But I wouldn't use it in the dishwasher. I mean, the washing machine seal. Just dry it out, and it's all you need to do.
And definitely don't use it on the dishwasher. I got that.
Right. On
or under floor mats, and I take it that's a hot spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have mats that they'll put like an old cotton type rug down at the back door at the edge of the mudroom, and they just stay wet. And that type of fiber laying on top of carpet, mold can grow under there, and it can do a lot of damage to the carpet and hardwood underneath those that type of rug.
And speaking of floor mats, on carpets, upholstery, wall-to-wall carpeting can trap a lot of dust, dirt, skin cells, which are all food for mold spores, right?
Mm-hmm. So, yes. Yeah.
I was shocked to read that beneath wallpaper and drywall, you can find mold as well.
Bathrooms, it's very prevalent. When you pull old wallpaper borders off of your bathroom walls, you oftentimes see evidence of mold-like growth underneath that. Yeah, a lot of molds love paper. They love the adhesives that wallpaper is hung up with.
All right, I'll go fast on the rest of these. Around boilers and water heaters, on ceiling tiles, on plumbing ductwork, on your dishes. That concerns me, especially if you're putting them through a cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know you'd have to have really, really wet dishes when you put them away. But if you have things like, plastic containers that are wet that you kind of interlock and you seal them up, you can get some mold growth there because they never dry out.
Finally, in potted plants, if you overwater them, you can, and it's not necessarily a black mold, but a mold nonetheless. And then finally, for everybody, if you own a car, just as in your home, the carpeting, upholstery, and floor mats in your car can trap moisture and dirt, and creating a perfect condition for mold growth.
We actually do mold testing in cars, Bob. You'd be surprised how often we do that, because people feel well in their homes. They get in their car, they drive to work, they feel like they've got allergies coming on. They get into their office, they feel fine again, and they find out that their cars have mold growing in them. They've gotten wet. They've been rained on during rainstorms. Yeah, it's surprising how many calls we get every year for moldy cars.
Got it. All right. Well, those are some. If you want, by the way, more on that, you can email me, bob@wesellouisville.com. Put in there the mold report or just mold info, and I'll send out what we've got for you to review and more. All right. So back to some of these emails coming in via email, obviously. And this one's coming in from Irving, and it's for Brad. He says he's got a 50-year-old home in St. Matthews, and he's going to sell it next year. See, for buyers, this is a lot of positive news, because there are a lot of people who are going to be selling their homes next year. He's writing to ask about the black marks in the grout. Well, speaking of mold, the black marks in the grout between the tiles in the bathroom. He thinks it's mold. He's not sure. And so how much work does he have to do to put into getting rid of the problem before selling? And Kevin, from your perspective, he wants to know, does he have to, if he removes the mold and gets rid of it, does he have to disclose it? So let's start with, because I notice not necessarily black marks, but dirt. So how do you distinguish between dirt and black marks or mold?
Yeah. So the only way to tell if it's mold, and the reason that you'll hear a home inspector talk about mold-like growth, is we can't call it mold until we've lab tested it. So if I would have to go into that bathroom, I'd have to take a sample, I'd have to swab it, or I'd have to take a direct lift off of that to determine whether or not it's mold. So for the homeowner that's concerned about that, there's a lot of commercially available products that will clean grout. Any of those products are going to be, harmful to mold. We'll say it'll clean them up. It'll brighten the grout and put it back into a condition that looks clean again. If you did actually find something that was mold, then I'd pick up a product like Mold Armor, which you can get in any of the local hardware stores. The white bottle. It's a moldicide, fungicide, viricide. And it does a great job cleaning up anything that might be suspect. I would reach for that. That's actually what our teams use to disinfect after we do a home inspection for our equipment and anything we touch in the homes. But it's also it won't damage most materials, and it smells fresh.
So, Kevin, on a legal level for disclosures, does everything need to disclose?
Well, the standard is if you knew or reasonably should have known that there was a possible problem. And what Brad was talking about, if you have it tested and it clearly is a mold issue at that point, then you have to have someone licensed to come in to remediate it. And then you have to disclose both the presence of and the fact that it was remediated. The touchy questions are, you look at it, you think it might be dirt, might be mold. You clean it up, as Brad suggests, with a Home Depot type product. At what point in time do you have to disclose those efforts? Where a reasonable layman, is that something that you feel should need to be disclosed? And those are one of the issues that he would have to face. But the only way to really determine whether or not you've got a problem is to have it tested. And like the normal home inspections, I'm assuming that's part of the normal routine, is a mold inspection these days. So it's best to address it early.
Brad, did you want to add to that?
Well, I was going to say it's actually not typical, Kevin, to do a mold inspection as part of the home inspection. Mold is actually excluded from a general home inspection report anyway. You would have to have additional mold testing to do that. But I think a lot of times people look at things that are dirt that, rather than just going ahead and doing the cleanup, they believe that it's mold and they want things tested. We see things all the time that are metal shavings, on door hinges that people think, oh, I've got black mold growing. No, it's actually just your hinges need a little bit of lubricant on them. So I think I would, for the home inspector and me, I would err to the side of see if you can just clean it up with regular products. And if it's mold that's growing, it's going to come back. Dirt, oxidation, those things are going to go away once you do the cleanup.
Interesting. And I think, Kevin, what you're saying basically is if you've had to clean it up, we would suggest as realtors to disclose it no matter what, unless it's not mold, in which case you don't have to disclose. All right, we've got about a few seconds left. Let me just tell you one quick thing that we're seeing. There are a lot of owners who are getting ready to sell their home that are turning to appliance upgrades to boost their home value. In fact, 3 out of 4 homeowners would rather fix or replace appliances than accept a lower offer when selling their home. That's according to a new survey of about 1,000 consumers from a group called Cinch Home Services. That's a home warranty company. Now, here's the interesting thing. You'll end up spending a lot more money on getting a new appliances. Maybe you'll spend $5,000. In terms of value, it'll only bring back maybe $2,000 or $3,000 if you're lucky. Here's what I would tell everybody. If you've got decent appliances and a home that is not in need of a lot of repair, I don't think I would get new appliances. Simply sell and maybe reduce the price in a bargaining situation. But if your appliances are shot, then yes, bring it up to a decent standard. Goes with the rest of the house. If you want to raise the level to bring it up to a decent standard. Hopefully that will help you in terms of selling your home later this year or next year. We're out of time. Thanks to Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. You can bring in Brad and the team for an inspection at 844-411-TEAM. Also, my good buddy Kevin Dissler at Pitt & Frank Attorneys, 895-9900. You can reach Kevin. Thank you both for being here, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thanks, Bob.
You bet. And you can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 376-5483. And we'd love to help you get your home on the market. Either it's this fall or winter or spring of next year. Again, 376-5483. We're out of time. See you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.